Which paradox just mindfucks a person? The UK triple lock that people moving to the UK experience. And need proof of address and photographic ID to open a bank account. Need a bank account and photographic ID to rent a place. Need a bank account and an address to get sent your photographic ID. And checkmate atheists. Surely you don't need a bank account to get an ID. Yeah, that part doesn't make any sense. This is like when I went online to schedule an appointment at the Apple store because my phone wouldn't turn on and they sent me a verification text to my phone to confirm it was me telling them that my phone won't turn on. I suffered from this problem recently in the States. What I ended up doing was renting a private mailbox. This is different from a PO box because you can use the street address and put suite for the box number. Looks just like an apartment address and no one is the wiser. The Ship of Theseus always kinda fucked me. So, there's this Greek dude called Theseus. And he's on a very long boat trip home. His ship needs repair. They stop, replace a few rotten boards, and continue. Due to the particularly strenuous nature of this very long trip, several more of these stops for repairs are made. Until, by the very end, not a single board from the original vessel remains. Is this still the same vessel? If not, when did it cease to be? Additionally, devoted followers of Theseus saved all of the worn pieces as they were replaced, and rebuilt the ship with them. Now which ship is truly the Ship of Theseus? Seems to be a great discussion piece, but in the end it comes down to interpretation. The ship simply underwent mitosis and divided into two daughter ships. I'm of the opinion that as the ship was rebuilt, since it was still continuously recognizable as a ship, it remained the same ship. The ship made from the original pieces. Although the pieces were the same matter the ship was originally constructed of. It does not have the continuity of shipness the first ship has. This is why I am uncomfortable with transporters and will always insist that Captain Picard give me a shuttlecraft. The real ship was the friends Theseus made along the way. Bray's paradox. From Wiki, the observation that adding one or more roads to a road network can end up impeding overall traffic flow through it. The paradox was postulated in 1968 by German mathematician Dietrich Brace, who noticed that adding a road to a particular congested road traffic network would increase overall journey time. Very evident in cities, skylines. The bane of my cities in that game. The more roads, the more traffic. So I know this is just a silly thing, but at my old work, my department was food service. In our prep room, you had to always wear an apron. Always. No exceptions. When leaving the prep room, you had to take your apron off to prevent cross-contamination. The bosses were trying to figure out where to put the hooks. Inside in the back of the door. Or outside on the wall. Feels like there should have been an anteroom between prep room and the larger room with apron hooks. That is part of a real solution. The other is to use disposable aprons and throw them out as you exit and put on a new one after a thorough hand washing in the antechamber. The aprons would be just inside the prep room or at the end of the antechamber. Must have a vestibule. I'm trapped in an ATM vestibule with Jill Goodacre. That this page is intentionally left blank page. The page isn't even blank anymore. I actually saw one in a textbook before that said this page intentionally no longer blank. My favorite phrase that got published in an advanced math book, in case there is danger of no confusion. I like this. The reasoning that goes behind those pages is actually really neat. Books are printed and bound in signatures. A way of imposing pages of content. They always come in fours. So if your book has 199 pages of content, it'll be in 50 signatures. That means one page has to be left blank. This is something I deal with fairly often producing short-run marketing booklets and brochures. I'll have someone give me 13 pages of content. I then tell them they either need to cut one page of content or add 3 more. Fry becoming his own grandpa. He did do the nasty in the pasty. Past nastification. If you asked Rick Astley for his copy of Disney Pixar's Up, do you think he'd give it to you? Because think about it. He's never gonna give you up. But, at the same time, if he doesn't give you up, then he's let you down. But he's never gonna let you down. So which is it? At that point, he'll just have to say goodbye. And desert you. Jim is my enemy. But it turns out that Jim is also his own worst enemy. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, Jim is actually my friend. But because he is his own worst enemy, the enemy of my friend is my enemy. So, actually Jim is my enemy. But I see. Well, Jim needs to learn self-love then lol. He also needs to learn that identity theft is not a joke. Pinocchio says, my nose will grow after I finish this sentence. Does it? Depends on if lying is a necessary condition for growth or merely a sufficient one. I frequently see Pinocchio resolved based on the intent of the speaker to tell the truth or lie. Otherwise, his curse can be used to learn absolute truths you have no other way of proving. It could even speculate about future events if X will do Y is considered a true or false statement. No, his nose grows when he lies. That's it. My nose will grow after I finish this sentence is a prediction of future events. Because it hasn't happened, you cannot tell the truth or lie about it. It's a statement that has no consequence over the actions of his nose. The Banach-Tarski paradox is one hell of a mindfuck. It's basically taking something and rearranging it to form another exact copy of itself while still having the complete original. Like taking a sphere, which has infinite points on it, and drawing line from every point on its surface to the center, or the core of the sphere. Then you separate the lines from the sphere. But because there is infinite points, you now have an exact copy of the original sphere. It's kind of hard to explain here, so just watch the Vsauce video on it for a more in-depth explanation. One anagram of Banach-Tarski that I like is Banach-Tarski, Banach-Tarski. Also, thanks Baraci. The bootleg paradox. The main example is Beethoven, so I'll use him. If you were to go back in time, you would see Beethoven, but when you get there, you cannot find Beethoven anywhere. But you have all of his music sheets. So you create all of Beethoven's music, so technically, you are Beethoven. Now the real question is, where did the music come from? And how did the name Beethoven come to be? Isn't it bootstrap? Yes, the bootstrap paradox. It's named for a 1941 novella by Robert Heinlein, writing under the pen name Anson MacDonald. Excellent story. Psychology. Psychology is defined as the study of the human brain. That would mean that the human brain is teaching, studying, and learning from itself all at the same time. In a sense, the brain is the teacher, the textbook and the student at the same time. If the brain was so simple we could fully understand it, we'd be so simple that we couldn't. Coleslaw. Very simple. Some love it, but I can't stand it. Very common. 2. What is coleslaw? Cabbage, mayo, vinegar and some other stuff. The coastline paradox. The more accurately you measure a coastline, the longer it gets. To infinity. I have 2 comments, questions. 1. It couldn't possibly be to infinity, right? Even if you measure every grain of sand, the coastline will significantly grow. But it is still finite. 2. You can't measure a coastline perfectly accurately, because it's not static. Tides and water levels are always changing. Can a man drown in the fountain of eternal life? Yes. The fountain only prevented aging. Drink the fountain and get beheaded. You dead. The infinite hotel one is not exactly a paradox, but still a mindfuck. A hotel has an infinite number of rooms and can accommodate an infinite number of guests, 1 per room. A traveler walks up to the front desk and inquires about a room. Sadly, it's Infinity Day and an infinite number of people are in town celebrating. So every one of the rooms is full. However, the clever desk clerk realizes he can still fit the traveler in by asking everyone to move into the room number that's 1 higher than theirs. So the person in room 1 moves to room 2. Room 2 moves to room 3, etc. Now room 1 is free for the traveler. However, just as the traveler has been accommodated, an infinite busload of people arrives looking for rooms. The hotel is surely full now. Right? Nope. The clerk realizes he can ask everyone to move into a room that's twice the room number of their own. So room 1 moves to room 2. Room 2 moves to room 4. Room 3 moves to room 6. Etc. Now all the odd-numbered rooms are empty and can be filled with the new guests. So in a sense, an infinitely full hotel is still infinitely empty. I hope the clever desk clerk knows how to efficiently deal with infinite complaints. Paradox Interactive. Every time they release a new DLC, everyone loses their damn minds. Solaris has entered the chat. Takes experience to get most decent jobs. But how do you get a good job without experience? Work a shitty job. The universe either has to be infinite or we're in a box. However, if you ever reach the end, that closes the universe in. It would be impossible for something to not be on the other side of the enclosure. At least to us, since nothingness doesn't really exist in human perception. Those aren't the only options. Imagine space that loops. If you go a certain distance, you reach your starting point again. Walking on a sphere is like this. You're on a 2D surface with no boundaries. Yet it's finite. It loops around. How anything began. Whether you believe in creationism or the Big Bang, etc. Where did the beginning come from? God had to have started at some point. Those atoms that exploded into the universe had to come from somewhere. Where the fuck did anything come from? A long time ago actually. Never. And also now. Nothing is nowhere. When. Never. Makes sense. Right? Like I said, it didn't happen. Nothing was never anywhere. That's why it's been everywhere. It's been so everywhere. You don't need a where. You don't even need a when. That's how every it gets. Forget this. I want to be something. Go somewhere. Do something. I want things to change. I want to invent time and space. And I know it's possible because everything is here. And it probably already happened. I just don't know when to start. And that's exactly where it started.